Exactly. All right, cool. So Sharon, you were the one who first brought Ghost to our attention. So I will let you have this. Ghost season 5. Take it away.
Yes, it's just a recap on the Ghost, the premise of Ghost. It is a young couple from London, Alison and Mike, unexpectedly inherit a huge house,
Hmm.
a manor house in the country, which should be the dream come true. It's like your fortune is made, except this house is slightly dilapidated. It has run down over the last 100 years, and it is inhabited by a miscellany of ghosts, which would not normally be a problem. But there's an event in early on in season 1 where something happens to Alison, and then she can see and communicate with the undead. Well, they're dead, but they're ghosts,
Yeah.
so they haven't passed on, as Alison prefers to call it. The ghosts have a different name for what happens when you when you leave this earthly plane. And anyway, so they then over the seasons have progressed, we can see how Alison and Mike have tried to find ways in which they can finance their house and to live in this huge house.
Yeah.
Because like any other big dilapidated property, it's as a money pit. It needs a lot doing to it, and they need to find ways to do that. So over the seasons, we've seen them try different things to see if they can improve their finances and make a go of living in Button House. And as this has been going on, we have got to know the ghosts, some of their backstory, what their personalities are like, how they tick, and they have sort of, by turns, basically helped and hindered Mike and Alison in their sort of desires to make this their perfect home and a business at the same time.
Yeah.
So we meet them in season 5. They've been living in the house for 5 years. The house is looking much better than it has done. It's getting there. It's looking like a much more pleasant family home. But they get almost like an offer that's almost too good to refuse, which I'm not going to tell you what that offer is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they seriously have to contemplate what their future will be. And circumstances in their lives are progressing where they think, do we stay or do we go? And the last season is basically them looking at what their future is going to be. They're thinking about the future. And as it is known to be the last season, though they have said there's going to be a Christmas special, we do actually get to find out a little bit about the backstory of some of the ghosts. Because some of them
that we are yet to find out. That
we're yet to find out.
5 seasons in, they still haven't told us what happened to some of these ghosts. How did they become ghosts?
How did they become ghosts? How did they die?
Yeah.
Because some of them, it's quite obvious with Pat, who is the scout leader. He's got an arrow through his neck.
Yes.
And so at some point, he was shot through the neck with an arrow. Yeah. So we can guess what happened. Well, we can guess the circumstances around your death, but we're pretty soon we're let in on exactly what happened with Pat. And with like Thomas, he has got a visible wound, where that he was killed in a duel, and again in this other seasons we've seen that duel played out.
Yeah.
And so some of their deaths are pretty obvious because you can see what killed them, but there's others, there's not a mark on them.
Yeah.
And so we do finally get to find out how some of them got to be where they are now. So that's all I'm going to tell you about the plot, because I don't think you need to know anymore. But
No.
it's the usual mixture of that combination of humor, that laugh out loud moments, that sort of ridiculousness of the premise in some ways.
Yes.
And also there's real pathos in it, though. There's this real emotion, and some of the times when you see the past, you think, yeah, that's really hard.
Yes.
And when they they have this they're faced with this quandary about what to do. It isn't a given what the outcome will be, which is what I like about Ghosts. It's not predictable. You just don't know where they're going to go with it. And with this, you are literally left guessing right up until the sort of when you're not. So they don't give anything away, and it's plausible either way. It's absolutely plausible that they could go either way with this thing. So I just can't get over how well it is written.
Yeah.
I have watched the American series. I was just going to do a little bit of a brief compare and contrast with it. And I've seen both seasons that have been released in Britain of the American series. And even though it's got its own charm,
yes,
it doesn't quite have that balance of that real pathos and the humor. They've really gone down the humor line
Yeah.
basically, and their answer to most of the problems in the show have been to pair up the ghosts. So by the end of season 3, you've got 3 of the ghosts are couples where they've just like paired up with each other. So you've got like boyfriend girlfriend, boyfriend girlfriend, boyfriend boyfriend, and then it's basically it's as subtle as a sledgehammer. It has its own charm. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not our Ghost. You just have to accept that it is what it is.
Yes.
But I think
Different
Ghost
audience.
is just basically set apart. I think I really rate it really highly. I look forward to it every year, and then I've rewatched every season sort of multiple times. And some episodes I would just like nothing to watch. I think I might just watch. There's an episode with the burglars. I love the burglars episode. Especially Kitty and Mary when they're trying to remember all the items that they've stolen, and they basically just go cups. And so I can't rate it highly. It's a 5 for me.
It's one of those things where when I started watching it, I was like, I couldn't believe I'd not seen it before because it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely is the best word I can find for it. Everything about it makes me smile. And if you're having a bad day, it's like being wrapped up in a blanket of loveliness.
Well, you see, the thing is that it's lovely. I agree with you that yeah, it is lovely.
But it's not simplistic lovely. It's not,
it's not that's not because sometimes lovely is one of those words that is kind of like damning with faint praise. Where like Miss Marple on a Sunday afternoon is lovely, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think like I agree with you that Ghost is 100% lovely, but it is also one of the best written things I've ever seen.
That's what makes it lovely.
Yeah.
Is the subtlety, the wit.
Yeah, the subtlety, the wit, the intricacy, the interplay between the different characters. I think the pathos. I think it is a show that I don't think I've seen a show that mixes pathos and humor as well as this does. I mean, I mean, I used to think Scrubs did it quite well. I think Ghost is better.
Yeah. This leaves, and you're absolutely right. But this leaves, Scrubs miles behind.
Yeah, and because obviously it's one of those things. I mean, the concept of Ghost, the idea that there's all these ghosts who have died over centuries in this one location and are stuck in this location. It does mean that you can travel, take this thing and move it to different areas because there'll be different things and there'll be different things you can explore. And I started watching the American one as well because when I first heard that they'd made an American version of Ghost, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, why have you got to do? You're gonna ruin it. And I think the best thing I can say about the American one is I don't think it's ruined. I think that they've managed to keep
made it their own, haven't they?
Yeah, they've managed to keep an essence of the show and they've managed to make it work. I mean, there's a couple of things like the character of Mike, who is the husband played by Keel Smith Bino in the UK version. I think he is supposed to be the audience sort of like avatar because he can't see the ghost and everything like that, and Allison has this rapport with the ghost that he's out of it, and I do feel like they haven't really figured out what to do with him for 5 years, where there isn't really much to do. And they play around with that a bit in the American one to give the husband a bit more to do, but yeah, and even in the first episode, you can see how they are doing the American thing of trying to when they try and stretch to try and make a point, to try and get some pathos, to try and get some sort of emotion. They do stuff that to us in the UK would just appears schmaltzy. It appears like, oh, the music is swelling, and oh, look, and oh, this is the point where you're supposed to cry, and and what you just told me about them pairing up the ghost, I'm like, oh, that. Oh, why? But then again, I was actually laughing at it because you have 5 seasons of the UK one, which I agree with you. I'll give it 5. I think it's excellent. I said last week it's a show that I would be happy to just continue on TV. I'm happy for it to go on for 10 years and for me to just keep coming back and going, you know what? I don't even care that this ghost died all this and they're supposed to be frozen in time, but they look older. They look 10 years older. I don't care. I'll keep watching this shit.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're miraculously aging.
Yeah. I don't care. It's one of those shows. And what was I saying? I think I was talking about the American one, wasn't I?
And that gets that balance between the schmaltz and the
I think it's. Oh yeah, that was it. I was looking at the number because even though I'm happy for it to carry on for this, each season is about at most 8 episodes. So we looked at it, and in 5 seasons, there's been about 33 episodes. The American version has 2 seasons and has 40. 40 episodes. Yeah. Yeah, it's 2 seasons and it has 40 episodes. So in 2 seasons, it has more than the UK version has in 5 series. So America has their own issues and their whole things and how they want to do it, and they're fine, good. The best thing I can say is that they did not destroy it. There are some countries that I don't think you could do. Let me put it this way. I think it would be difficult to do an Australian Ghosts because there are some things in the history of that country that you would have to address that would be very hard to make a comedy out of. So
yes,
so
a lot.
Yeah, so
you don't have the time frame available to not have a lot of awfulness.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's
to play around with the tropes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway,
and I think, and I would suggest, having not watched the US version, with the UK, we have the luxury of a much more protracted period of history that we are able to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they have enough. They have enough, like
it's not like the US doesn't have an epic amount of history. It's just that most of it is more.
But it's things like
in writing.
But the thing is, I feel like in the US version they have done some clever things. They've done some clever changes. Like they don't have a caveman. Robin in the UK version, who is my favorite character.
I love Robin.
Robin is hands down my favorite character, and I love the bits where even though he's a caveman in season 5, there's some things that they do where they go, he's a caveman, but he's probably the most sophisticated out of all of them because he is the oldest.
Yeah, it shows up throughout sometimes, but it's like, this is. No. I mean, he's the best at chess.
He's got some of the funniest. Yeah, he's got some of the funniest lines in from the get-go, I think.
I love Rob.
And he's also some ways the saddest character because, he spent nearly most of his time on his own.
Yeah. Oh, I mean...
And especially the episode in the beginning, like the moon, where he's saying, that's why the Muna is like so important to him.
Yeah.
Because, it's the only constant he's had for thousands of years.
There are some lines that Robin delivers that make me want to cry. I love Robin. I think he's probably the most pathos-filled character, and he's the funniest. And it's the fact that in the American version there is no caveman, but there is essentially the character that is Robin is a Norseman. He was like a Norse invader in America.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that they've done some good things. They don't have a Tory MP who lost his trousers or died with his trousers off. They have talking about investment bankers. They have a Lehman's brother investor bro who died with his trousers off. Who is essentially So I think it's well anyway. Going back to the UK one, I think it's brilliant. I think that the guys who came up with it, the guys who did Horrible Histories, I think they're great, and almost everything that they've done, I've loved. Like they did a show called Yonderland, and
was Robin one of them? The guy who plays Robin was
he's a guy called Lawrence Rickard.
Thereof.
Yeah. He's part of them. He's part of them. He also plays Humphrey, the headless one.
Yes. Yeah, he plays 2 characters. Yeah.
Yes. But because of makeup, it's really, really hard to tell that it's the same guy playing both plays.
Yeah.
And there's a bit in season 5 where they have Robin and Humphrey have a storyline where they're playing off against each other. And I thought that was quite nice. Especially when you realize that they're played by the same guy. But anyway, I would agree with you, Sharon. I would give it a 5. I would say go watch it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And if you think so, there's something wrong with you. So
I haven't even made it to season 5, and I'm giving it a 5 already because of just its existence is worth a 5 for me.
And every now you get like a guest ghost, which I think some of those are hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time. And every now and then there's a scary one. There's the odd scary moment. I think in the first season, a few times I was like, oh, this is supposed to be really funny. But there's a definite a frisson there where I was thinking, oh, that could be scary. So they don't shy away from the fact that this could be this. There's a plague girl who sort of appears every now and then, terrifies everyone.
Yes.
And the odd guest ghost where they're like walking down the street and they see someone. And
Yes,
you go,
yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's well. Anyway, this whole hour could end up being the ghost hour, but we're going to move from the
talk
ghost hour.
about it till kingdom come.